Good morning, my friends. Happy Wednesday, August 26th, of the Stop Doing Nothing live show with your host, Patrick Allmond. Better look at the right camera, not the wrong camera, not the wrong camera over there. But hey, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, wherever you are watching, thank you for tuning in today. I'm actually pretty excited about today. And this was already a planned topic, but it felt more important after, we lost our good buddy, Dolly Parton yesterday. That was hard hit for all of us. For some of you younger ones, you may not have any idea who she is. She may have no impact on your life whatsoever, but a lot of us who have been around for a few decades know that she has a major impact on entertainment and the arts and education here in the United States. So that's been on my mind a lot. I'm not going to dwell on it. If you have any particular fond memories of Dolly Parton, please, please, please share them in the comments below. I would like to hear if you ever saw her in concert, if you ever met her personally, if you ever personally benefited from anything that she did. Please, please share that with me in the comments below. I would love, love to hear it from you. Today we're going to be talking though about, let me see. Can I get my keyboard working here? There we go. Today we're going to be talking about how to start making an impact. And I can imagine that I'm probably going to do a couple of episodes on this, not just how to start, but maybe why you want to start. So today's mainly going to be why you want to start, and then in future shows, I'm probably going to slip in some things on how you can start. And this one, once I started typing out my agenda for it and how I felt about it and what I wanted to say about it, my notes started getting long. For a day or two before I start a show, I've got my topic set. I lay out my notes and I just started typing and typing and typing and realized that this is more than 30 minutes worth. So what I have to say is going to break up into multiple shows, just so you know. But if you're a first time watcher, do me a favor, drop a comment, say hi, where you are watching from, and how in the world you know me, and possibly do the same if you are a repeat watcher. But especially my first time watchers, I love making sure that I myself have an impact and I'm reaching a new audience. So if it's your first time tuning in, definitely please say hi here. And just so you know, my name is Patrick Allmond. I run a marketing agency here in Oklahoma City called Stop Doing Nothing Media. Been doing that for, I don't know, a few decades now. I lose track every time I say that, but I know it's been a few decades or a couple of decades and lots of change, one of the two. And we get people visibility. Marketing agency is the easy way to say it. We generate visibility. I like to think that we generate impact, but I like to make sure that we spread messages. And so, when I was thinking about this topic of how to make an impact and Dolly Parton, I was thinking about how I got started in business and how I see a lot of entrepreneurs get started in business. And there was a really good Venn diagram. I need to pull it up on a future show. I didn't have a chance to pull it up this time, but there's a really good Venn diagram I've seen of how we can make money. And this is where I'm starting, and it's kind of a path as to where I'm talking about the making impact, because a lot of us get into business to make money. I mean, a lot of us get into business because we have a hobby and we want to monetize it, but a lot of us get into business because we just want to make more money, or we want to make different kinds of money, or we want to make money doing a certain thing. So there's this really brilliant Venn diagram I saw once that basically was the three circles of we found something we like to do, something that makes money, and something we are good at. And that middle part of that Venn diagram is how we make money in this world, how we build a business, things like that. Oh, my nose is itchy here. And on occasion, though, some of us, and this wasn't me, 100% admit this, on occasion, we find something that makes an impact from day one. If you were lucky enough to start something at 17, 18, 19, 20, 25, that made an impact and someone was willing to pay you for it, then goodness gracious, you hit the pay dirt there. It's not like that for most people. It has not been like that for me. That has not been my journey. But if that has been you, then you are definitely one of the lucky ones. And kudos to having the brains and the brilliance to do that at a young age. That has not been my journey. My journey has been I work for a big yellow car rental company. It's a few miles down the road from where we live now. And I was offered the ability to get paid what I thought my value was for the kind of work I was doing. I could have done the work and stayed at one company, or I could have traveled around the world. and then for several other companies, if you will. And I chose to leave and travel around the world, and which I did literally, and save it for several other companies. Excuse me for a second while I sneeze. It's coming up. Here it is. Well, we're going to be editing that out of the show later. But I was working for a company, doing some brilliant tech work, doing some brilliant training, and I was offered the opportunity to make a lot more money, which I took and started traveling around the world doing it, living on the road from the very first day I went into business into 1998. And the longer I've been in business, we've pivoted what the agency has done a few times, but more and more, I'm really focused on this topic of making an impact versus making money. Now, I am not anti-capitalist. I am a capitalist through and through, and I believe in making as much money as possible. But I also like the idea of making money to make an impact. I don't make money to have big, giant green stacks and stacks of green. I like to make money so I can use that money for the benefit of me, my family, and the good of people around me. I have no problem paying money for someone else if it benefits them. And I've done this, and hopefully we've all done this on occasion, just random times where $5, $10, something can help somebody's life. There is a there is such a thing as having too much money, I believe. And again, I'm not anti-capitalist, I'm not anti-billionaire, but I believe there is at some point in time in my life where hopefully I will say, I've made enough money. I don't need the rest. How can I allocate the rest and have it benefit somebody else? And so, if you haven't gotten to this point in your life or your business, hopefully you will someday. And that's the point of kind of pivoting from being purely a capitalist to being a capitalist that has impact and a capitalist that can do things to benefit other people. And like I said, if you haven't gotten there, fine. But what I'm going to start you to put in your head today is how you can start running your life like that, and how you can start running your business like that, and why you would even want to. So I don't know, obviously, what you do as you're watching this show. However, I'm sure if you're a friend of mine, it's something in tech or web design or software development or SEO or CRM. It's something in that world. And we are technicians by nature. We love our tech. We love talking about high level and ClickUp and all these cool tools and MCPs. But at the end of the day, when it's time to lay your head on the pillow, oftentimes I think, you know what? What's the benefit of me learning all this stuff? Yay! I created a new MCP connector. I created a new API integration. I built a new web page. I got ranked for a particular keyword. Why? What's the impact of that? Is that how I want my legacy to be? And legacy and impact to me are two words that are tied a lot together. Is that what I want? My daughter and my granddaughter and my great grandkids to say, "Ooh, yay, Patrick! Back in 2026, created a new MCP connection. My life is so much better." They will never ever say that. I don't even want them having to think something like that. What I want them to remember, though, is possibly something I left them to make their lives better. And if you're lucky in this world, you will have an impact on one person. Okay? That's all you need to do is have an impact on one person. If you're really lucky, maybe it'll be two, five, 10, 100, 1,000, 50,000, or 2 million. Okay? But don't worry about the 2 million. Worry about having the impact on one. So, what can you do to reframe what you do to have an impact on one person? Why would you even want to do this? This was in my notes also. Why do we even want to think about impact? We as human beings, to me, impact is part of our evolutionary process. Okay? We as human beings need to evolve. We need to progress. We've gone from the rock to the screwdriver to the power tools. Okay? We've gone from the walking to the wheelbarrow to the horses to the buggies to the cars to airplanes. Okay? We need to evolve. And for us to evolve, we need human beings to make an impact and to see things bigger and to see things better than where we are now. Oftentimes, people throughout history have just invented a better thing, but it still did the same thing as the original thing. And then there were visionaries who said, you know what? We can do something bigger. We can do a much better version of this. Those are the people that have had impact. Visionaries definitely have impact. Okay? Visionaries that act on their ideas are the ones that have impact. Okay? You cannot have an impact on this world without being a visionary, and you cannot be a visionary and implement your ideas without it having impact on the world. So those actually aren't in my notes, because I'm thinking about that. Yeah, a visionary definitely has impact. And we use these words visionaries and entrepreneur and game changers. We throw these words around a lot, as ways to describe people that we admire. But don't forget that at your level, at a smaller level, as long as you're impacting a person or two or five, that is all you need to change the world. It really is. There's a cliche out there that all great ideas have come from small groups of people that thought they were crazy enough to change the world. That's exactly true. You can look at every single movement out there and understand that it started off with one or two people that were just batshit crazy insane and say, you know what? I can change this. I really can. And that one person does the 2, 4, 16, 8, 32, 64, 128, 256, 5, 12, 1024. I got my numbers of two down pat pretty well. But we need to evolve as humans. I'm going to get back to my notes here. We need to evolve as humans. We need to do it with direction. Okay? Evolving by just throwing spaghetti against the wall isn't evolving. That's just throwing spaghetti against the wall. So we need to evolve. We need to evolve with direction, and we need to do it on purpose. And I always love this phrase "on purpose," because to me, this kind of has a double meaning. On purpose meaning you're doing it with a purpose of what you're doing, but you're also taking action in a particular direction versus random acts of action, if you will. So on purpose means two things there. And one of the ways that we do this is by just learning from our mistakes and making life better for the humans that come after us. I'm a huge believer that we are responsible for lifting future humans on our shoulders. It's one of the reasons I love volunteering at the elementary school that I've been doing it at for 10 plus years now. Is I want those kindergartners through those fifth graders to be better humans than my class that went through kindergarten to fifth grade. Okay. I want the next generation to be smarter than my generation. And I want the next generation to make the world better for the generation after that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Personally, it's the same way. I want to have impact on my daughter now, but I want her to have impact on her kids, her grandkids, and her great grandkids. Okay. And it doesn't always have to be attributed to me. I'm not egotistical enough to think that everything has to be attributed back to the name Patrick. But it's more important that an idea or an action influence future people than a person. Okay. The day after you die, people are going to start forgetting you. And this is a cold, hard fact of life. And it's going to get more so. As a matter of fact, it's going to happen sometimes on the actual day of your death. Here's the bizarre reality of our world is I'm going to die someday. Let's say it's tomorrow, okay? And my funeral is going to be announced in a week. And there are going to be plenty of people who see the funeral announcement and they're going to say, I really should go to that. And they may put it on their calendar. Some will make it, some won't make it. Some will forget. Some will think, oh, I had a meeting or I had a phone call or I had to get my car worked on or I had to get my hair did on that day of Patrick's funeral. Okay? That's just the reality of it. And then a day goes by, a week goes by, a month goes by, and we, as human beings, Patrick Allmond, we are slowly going to start to fade from the memory of being in existence on this earth. Very good example with Dolly Parton right now. Right now, because she was such a huge impact on us, and because she was such a huge impact in so many areas, she is top of mind right now for us. But in a day, in a week, in a month, 6 months, 5 years, 10 years, we won't be talking about Dolly Parton on a regular basis. And that's just the reality of life on this planet is, you're from you're a baby, you ramp up, you ramp up, you ramp up, you have a big impact on a large group of people. And then the day that you die, that impact and that remembering slowly goes down. So it's not important that to have an impact on future generations that your name lives. What's important is that your ideas and your philosophies and how you lift people up and how you relieved pain and how you brought pleasure, those are the things that you want to carry on. Because your name's not going to be here forever, but your ideas can be forever. And your ideas can spark other ideas to where you can help the next generation have impact. So I can have impact. It can give my daughter ideas to where she can have impact, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and make it spread like wildfire. But you do this by just starting by impacting a single person. And this is really hard sometimes in the world of social media when we have people with, large followings. And you may wake up one day and you see that you have 112 followers on social media and you're jealous of the guy that has, 112,000 followers, okay? But you got to remember the guy that has 112,000 followers is jealous of the guy that has 1 million followers or 1.12 million followers, if you will, okay? In the world of social media, we often value what we do and our impact based on the heart's likes and things like that. Okay. That's really, really not what matters. And we all know that. We all know that. But at some point, we have an ego. I have an ego. I mean, leave a comment if you have an ego. I have an ego. And I do like the fact that, someday I may have more likes and shares and viewers than other days. My ego is dependent on that. Okay. But that's not really has impact. The moment someone turns off my live stream, again, like a death, I'm going to slowly fade from their memory unless I keep pinging them every week that you have to watch Wednesday at 7 a.m. Central, right? I have to keep pinging you every week there. Now, I'm ranting here. So, how do you have impact? Okay. This is going to be the start of this conversation. Like I said, this is probably going to be a 2 or 3 parter. How do you have impact? Number one, get past the ego. I mean, I really think you can have a lot of benefit in this world by getting past your ego and realizing that it's not about you and your name. Yes, you and your name are part of the marketing to promote it. And by the way, for those of you in business, this is not a marketing play. It's going to come to play into your marketing, but this is not a secret, Patrick, super secret, cool marketing tactic. You got to have impact, wink, wink, and you'll sell more books or you'll sell more courses. This is a personal, internal ego play for yourself to have impact and let that trickle out into your business. Because businesses come and go. Some of the most popular people that we know have started and stopped businesses many times, but the person is there and their mission is there and the impact they want to have on the world is there. And that's where I am at my life is I am at the point where I don't even care what I have to sell or what I have to market or what I have to stream or what I have to write. The core person of Patrick and action and stop doing nothing, which is why I love that phrase so much, that is not going to change. And that is another way to know that you have an impact. But I'm going to get through my list here I generated for you to start thinking about things and ways you can start having an impact on this world. Number one, I want you to think, what long-term benefits do your fellow humans get from what you do? Not short-term benefits, okay? Short-term benefits are transactional. You know what? I give you $1, you give me a piece of candy. Pleasure. Pleasure's gone. Okay? What long-term benefits do people have from what you do in this world? Are you making someone smarter? Okay, I have a whole list of things here. How do you enrich their lives? I did. I make a whole list. Patrick, stop trying to wing it. Read your list here. Okay. How do you enrich their lives? Okay. I learned a valuable lesson from Tony Robbins many years ago is that people are motivated by two things, the seeking of pleasure and the avoidance of pain. And I've tried to take that into account as I build the impact I want to have on the planet. But how do you enrich their lives? And by the way, these questions are some things that I want you to run through. And if you don't have good answers to these, then you may need to alter your path. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We can evolve as humans. I want to give you information to help you evolve as a human being. So how do you enrich their lives? How do you help relieve their stress? Okay. And these are questions that you should, write down. And if you need these later, ask me in the comments and I'll give you these because these are all in my notes right here. How do you make things better for them so that they can make things better for their kids? So sometimes the impact that you have isn't to the person you're talking to. Sometimes the impact that you have can help the person help another person. Good example. I'm a big advocate of time management. That phrase in general is just hilarious. But time management being altering how someone else spends their time so they can spend it better. And here's see if I can give you a good example here off the cuff. If I can help somebody in my world of marketing or missed call text back or speed delete, all the different things I deal with, if I can save somebody 3, 4, 5, 10 hours a week or a month, that is 5 to 10 hours that they can spend with their family. Okay. And to me, that's very important. The single step benefit, I'm thinking, I'm winging this here as I'm talking about the single step benefit is I free up 5 or 10 hours of your time with something I do in technology. The long term benefit, the second step benefit, if you will, is you get to take that time and do something better with it. You can go on vacation, you can spend it with your spouse, you can spend it with your kids. So my impact can help you have an impact. And so oftentimes, as I go through these notes here, I was thinking, well, some people watching this may think, well, I just do this one simple dumb thing. It's not going to have an impact. No, but think about how that impact to that one person will help that person impact 2 or 3 people behind them. Me freeing up 2 hours of your time a week will allow you to spend 2 more hours playing with your kids outside. Okay? So there's not always the first step benefit or the first level benefit. Sometimes there's a second level benefit right here. Some other things on my list is how do you entertain or make someone laugh? And do you? This is something I've always been jealous of because if you have the skill to make someone laugh, and I'm not like a ha ha lol laugh, I'm talking like a good butt gusting, spit out water or milk through your nose. If you have that skill, then I mean, man, the world is your oyster. And yeah, on occasion I do make a good joke, but stand-up comedians or people like that who we can go to for an hour or two and escape from the world and walk out with our abs hurting from laughing so hard. I mean, these people are godsends. Life is hard. Life is hard, 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 hard. I cannot say it enough. But the ability to go to a comedy show or something like you're in the back of the day, I can think of like Eddie Murphy doing the big selling out the big giant stadiums. If you can do that and make one person laugh or 1,000 or 5,000 people laugh at once, my goodness, you are such a blessing to the world. So an impact doesn't always have to be time stuff. It can be just helping people escape because laughing and humor and all that stuff is so good for our mental health. I get wound up tight with the work I do. I spend a lot of time at this desk. I spend, some time on the road and I get wound up tight. And so when I can laugh, oh my goodness, it's just like the stress drains out of my body. So, how can you entertain or make someone laugh? And if you want to get better at that skill, I'm sure every city in this country has an open mic stand-up night. And I'm not kidding when I've told you I've thought about going to the one here in Oklahoma City. I know exactly where it is. It's on a Friday or Saturday night, just east of our ballpark downtown here in Oklahoma City. I've been there. Saw some comedians choke, saw some comedians do a first shot. I think each comedian gets like 5 minutes. But man, that is a brave thing to try to make someone laugh, entertain someone. And it's brave to do it for decades, to do it for years. And I'm sorry, 100%. Dolly Parton was responsible for that for a lot of us out there. Music was entertaining. Her comedy she did was entertaining. The dramas that she did was entertaining. All of us have a different memory of that, but one of the things that she did, and she did so well, is entertain us. We're very lucky that we all benefited from that. How do you help open up or release human potential? And this, I when I was writing this phrase down, I was thinking a lot about personal fitness coaches. As you know, I'm a huge gym rat. I always thought about being a fitness coach. I've always thought about doing 1,000 things, but I've often thought about being a fitness coach. But when I think about being a fitness coach, I would go into it with trying to figure out the person I'm coaching, how can I relieve their pain and make them stronger so they can enjoy more of life. If I'm a fitness coach for somebody and I help them lose 50 pounds, they're going to be more mobile. They're going to be able to to do things like go on cruises, to hike more, to spend more time with their kids and their grandkids. So when you think personal fitness coaches think, yay, muscle, get healthy. That's again the first level. That's for the person in the gym right there. But if you make that person healthy, then that will have a trickle down effect to their family, to their generation and the generation after that. So how can you open up or release human potential? And these are the questions I want you to think about as you're thinking, well, how can I either alter what I'm doing right now to make an impact, or how can I do something new to make an impact? Okay. These are the questions I want to get through here. And then we're just going to be about time to wrap it up. And I'm really excited about this topic. I don't know if it's showing or not as I furrow my brow, but as I was making notes for this, like I said, I was typing and typing and typing. How do you help people focus? Okay, that's something else. How do you help people focus? I'll give you a good example on this. I'm getting some business coaching right now from the guy who runs Pinnacle AI, Charles Higgins. And one of the things I see him emphasize to everyone on the coaching calls is the importance of picking and doing one thing. And that's just a kick in the ass some of us need sometimes. There is so much value at getting so good at one thing. And this, again, is something else that's really hard for those of us in tech and those of us in AI and those of us in marketing, because there are so many things out there that distract us that other people are doing. And here's a classic problem how I see it, okay? We always say get good at one thing. So we're going down the road getting good at our one thing. It could be social media, it could be Facebook ads or whatever. And then you're scrolling one day and you're a little bit bored with what you're doing. And you're like, ooh, this person over here is talking about Google ads. Ooh, so I can do what I'm doing right now and do Google ads, and I'll be twice as popular. And then you see somebody else saying, ooh, I can do SEO. I can do SEO. Oh, and I can do high level. So all of a sudden now you're focusing from one thing, you've changed your focus from one thing to multiple things, and you've diluted your energy, and you've diluted your knowledge, and you've diluted your impact. Diluted by DILUTED. Does that sound about right? Not delude as in DELUDE, although I'm not even sure that's a word. But how can you help people focus? This is a huge, huge one. You could probably make some very good money just focusing on trying to help people focus, trying to show people how to manage their time and put all of their energy into one single sharp red laser point of focus. Okay. And it's needed. There are times, I'm not going to lie, there are plenty of times where I get distracted. I am not infallible. I am human in all of this. But people that can help people focus, you got that going on, baby. You really do. And the last one in this list right now that I'll cover as I wrap up. And again, I'm not even all the way through my notes here, but I like to do the show at 7:30. I like to get you through this and on your way. How do you help people see certainty and predictability in their lives? And this one, I wrote this one when I was writing the one, right after I wrote the one, how do you help people focus? There is so much uncertainty when it comes to income and our health and money, which is income, and what we do and the future. Don't even get me started on how every single day right now in the United States we wake up on this fucking bronco horse of politics bucking us off, and we keep getting back on it, and we keep getting back on it. It keeps bucking us off. Okay, that can be a whole other show, and I really don't ever want to do a political rant, but it does. Don't think that I'm not bursting at the seams with that topic. Okay. Right now, life is somewhat unpredictable. It really is. It's unpredictable when it comes to money. It's unpredictable when it comes to, heck, at some point in time, like sickness and food right now. These things are becoming very unpredictable here in the U.S. And we don't know what our leader is going to say any given day. And that's why a long time ago I decided, and I really preach this, is you have to avoid politics except for in very small bursts, because if you don't, you will drive yourself crazy. And every now and then I slip up on this and I drive myself crazy. But it's not just politics. It's income. Here's a good example. You know what? We'll do this and then we'll wrap it up. I would love to hear your comments on this because I think I'm gonna do a part 2 next week. When you have a job, when you have a sole job, all of your income is dependent on that paycheck that comes in, first and 15th. In a year, you get that W-2 and you've got that one income source, and it's fairly predictable. However, that is a high risk way to live. It may not seem like it, but it's a very high risk way to live. Now, if you had a job for 30 or 40 years, you may not think so because you've had a job for 30 or 40 years. But I've seen people get hired on at a job and get laid off a week later. And what's my point in all this? Diversity in income. If you could show someone, and this kind of I know kind of goes to the opposite of the focus one I was saying, but if you can show someone how to have, maybe 2 or 3 income streams and to balance where that income comes from to reduce the risk of financial impact to them, then that is a skill that will massively change lives. And that gets back into the relieving stress. I'll give you a good example here as we wrap this up. If you're someone that makes $100,000 a year from a single source of income, and I showed you how to either keep that $100,000 or back out of that and get 3 jobs where you make $33,000 a year, that would relieve your stress. To me, having a single source of income is stressful. It really is. It has always been that way. And that's one of the reasons I've been such a fan of MRR type businesses, monthly recurring revenue type businesses, where you get smaller chunks of money, but they're on a subscription basis and your risk is reduced. Remember, and this is not my plea for you to go out and quit your job. This is my plea to remind you that a single source of income or a single source of pleasure or a single source of friendship, all those things are high risk. They provide, a little bit of uncertainty and a little bit of unpredictability in the world. But if you're someone who can have an impact on someone else by showing them how to diversify those things, then you are going to make their life better and you're going to relieve their stress, which is one of the 8 things in my list here. So real quick recap, and I'd just like to know your opinions on this, whether you do it live or in the YouTube or Facebook comments. My list again of how to start thinking about how you can have an impact. This is my list. What long-term benefits do your fellow humans get from what you do? Think about that. And if you can't think of anything, then it may be time for a change. How do you enrich their lives? How do you relieve their stress? How do you make things better for them so they can make things better for someone else? And I talked about multi-level things. Okay, so your impact may not be strong with the person that you're dealing with directly, but it may be strong with the downline, if you will. Those of you in network marketing know exactly what I'm talking about. The downline is what matters. How do you entertain or make someone laugh? Dolly Parton, again, was a great example of this, but we see stand-up comedians every single day. What's her name? Kelsey Cook on there. Not Taylor Sheridan, Taylor Tomlinson. These people in their short little social media clips make us laugh every single day. And if you can mix entertainment and education, man, you've hit I'm not going to say the trifecta, but the bifecta right there. How do you help open up or release human potential? We talked about the fitness coaching right there. If you can help somebody lose a couple of pounds or make their biceps bigger or do something fitness related, you will have a massive impact on their lives. And especially if you can teach them the importance of getting in the habit of that. At some point in time in my life, I don't know where, I really learned the habit of regular fitness, any kind of fitness whatsoever. Nothing big or major, just regular weekly fitness. I don't know if I learned it from someone or if I just made an unconscious decision on this, but this is something that will be part of my life up until the day I die. If I die at the gym, kudos for me. Sorry for the people around me, but if I die at the gym, then I will be a happy, happy man. Well, not from the dying part, but from the fact that I was hopefully going for a personal best when I did that at PR. Wait, what do we call it? Not personal best, PR. Personal record, yeah. Hopefully I was going for a personal record at the time. How do you help people focus? Can be a way you can really have an impact on the human race. And how do you help people see certainty and predictability in their lives? These are all made to help you figure out how you can start having an impact on this planet. And if this topic resonated with you, again, let me know in the comments or text me or DM me if you don't want to do it publicly. I am slightly shifting my focus, and I have been for a while, to topics like this where I'm not so tech related, but how can I use the tech to have an impact on your life? That's the whole reason I do this live stream. Is that if you watch 2 years worth of my live streams and you tune into one and you see one thing in 30 seconds that completely alters how you do something, then I am a happy man. I don't need you to watch every single show or listen to every single podcast, which you're going to subscribe to on Apple Music, right? Yeah, I slept that in there right now. If you haven't done so, do me a favor. Please like and follow on Facebook. Share this show if it's been beneficial for you. And what I really need you to do is to subscribe over on YouTube and turn subscriptions on. Okay? Let me start working on the agenda for next week. Next week will be, let me see, we are August 26th. So next week's show will be September 2nd at 7 a.m. As always, thank you for those of you that are watching, even if you did not comment at all. I know you're out there watching. And I know I have an impact on you. Not a huge impact, but if I can give you one lesson today that will help you have a better day, help relieve your stress, help you laugh. Didn't give you any jokes today, sorry. No haha funny here. But if I can do that, I will know I made an impact and I will know I can sleep better tonight. Thank you for watching and let's take it on out.